We gotta wait till
No,
she's on, yeah.
Hi, I'm Barb.
One second, one second.
Excuse me, Mom.
I'm sorry. We gotta wait till we're on.
Okay,
Okay, Barb, you got 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Barb Tittle from 909 Middlebury Road in Kent. And I object to the cessation of video recording of board commission meetings when candidates were running for these open offices. I talked to them and I specifically said, I think the most important thing is to get more contact with the 100 and some thousand people who live in Portage County, who pay the taxes, which pay your salaries, which pay all the bills. And everybody said, oh yeah, it's a good idea. And now people say, oh, only up to 157 people, or maybe only 4 people. Even watch these videos. Obviously, they don't care. You know, maybe we should just not even bother having meetings. So if you extrapolate that, nobody else really cares. Well, there's some of us who do care, and who care very much. As you know, from all the meetings I've gone to over the past couple of years, until it was restricted, I couldn't come in personally. And I don't have the computer software on my computer to be able to come in via technology. And I noticed that there were comments that, oh, well, we're sitting behind these plexiglass barriers. Neither of you are. And Vicki doesn't even have any side barriers on her, although she wears a mask consistently. And the complaints that you expressed today, that, oh, the audio is not good, the equipment's not good. Well, I agree, Todd's saying about the equipment's not the best. And it might be expensive to replace it. But none of these complaints seem to come up in the several months that you've been doing these video broadcasts until somebody complained that, my goodness, you're not complying with local, state, and federal recommendations on masking. I think it's a little coincidental and even disingenuous. Also, I agree with Treasurer Crohn's comment about sunshine being a good or the best, well, not necessarily best, but a good disinfectant. I agree with that. And I think that, you know, ignoring the 4 people or the 157 people who wanted to watch these meetings and saying, oh, you guys don't really matter, because you're just a tiny percentage of the population. So, you know, we'll just, you know, push you aside. Also, has anyone, I don't know if you watch very much TV, there's a Febreze commercial showing a bathroom with the lid up on the toilet. Somebody flushes the toilet. All this stuff comes out and odor comes out, and therefore you should buy Febreze deodorant. Well, the same is true when you don't wear a mask. You speak, or especially if you sneeze or cough, all that stuff comes out, and it isn't stopped by these barriers. It goes up and out, and goes more than just a few inches or a couple of feet. And I mean, if you really want to avoid some of that Febreze toilet stuff coming out of there, you could get a covered cloth pad on your toilet seat. Put the toilet seat down before you flush it. And the same when you speak, you can wear a mask over your nose and mouth. And it really does make a difference. Why do you think doctors wear masks in the first place, especially when they're surgery? To avoid spreading germs to their patients who are ill, and to patients out there that you may see in the grocery store who are immunocompromised and you don't know it, or people who might want to come in on one of these meetings. So, the bottom line is the health director in the county has recommended that you wear masks. The state governor has recommended that you wear masks, and he's not going to force anybody to do it because he doesn't want people complaining to high nose, oh, this and that, blah, 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 blah. And the federal government has recommended that people wear masks. It's cut down on exposure. And like I say, I didn't notice any of these complaints in the many months that you've been doing this broadcasting until somebody noticed that you weren't following government regulations. Bottom line, I think not a good optic, as they're saying these days, to just say, oh, if you want to come to the meeting in person and you're in here before anybody else comes in, so if you're the 10 people in the room, or if you want to listen to just an audio, well, then you have a right to know what's going on, how the county commissioners are spending your money. But if you don't want to be exposed to county commissioners who don't want to wear masks, well, tough luck.
Well, Barb, I'd like to just make a comment to one of your statements.
Go ahead.
We have only been meeting in session for today marks 1 month.
Is that all?
That, yes, in public and are in person, and this is where we're having the problems with the Zoom, trying to do Zoom and meetings. It has nothing to do with the health department, or actually the paper noting that I wasn't wearing a mask and Tony wasn't wearing a mask. This only has been onset since we started in-person meetings and trying to do the Zoom, there being a problem with the quality of hearing, the screen freezing. I mean, we were in a session on Tuesday and we had someone screaming that was on a Zoom meeting when Todd Peets was presenting to us. They couldn't hear.
That's weird.
What?
No.
He was the one speaking.
No, he
Somebody
was speaking, he was doing a presentation, but we had some people trying to listen in on Zoom, and they started screaming, "We can't hear it." I mean,
Oh.
that's what I'm saying. So to say that this only came about because, the paper called out that 2 of us were not, it is not a fair statement. It's only been happening for a month, and it's because when we came back to meeting in public. So I just want to clarify that for
More
you.
than a couple of months ago that I talked to Amy about tuning in to the meeting. And so I thought it's been going on for more.
No, our first meeting, actually today marks a month. Yeah, that's why I was looking on my phone. We came back January 28th and today's February 25th. It's been exactly 4 weeks. So, and that's when we started noticing it's like, well, we're not really required. And the thing that we're trying to hide something is also an interesting concept that the papers are trying to spin, because all we're doing actually is going back to what we did pre the pandemic. And actually we're looking to enhance it in that before, if you wanted a copy of the audio of our meetings, you had to pay $1. We're looking to put those audio meetings online that you can actually click on them and listen to them anytime that you want. And there's no extra cost to you. So we are trying to, work with the public, and there's nothing to hide. I mean, as you know, we're the only elected officials that are required to do everything in a public session. Any decision or discussion that happens among at least 2 of us.
I've done many city council meetings and they have it open except for things like executive sessions.
Yeah, but I'm talking about as far as like county elected officials. You bring up Brad Cromes. I mean, do you watch his investment meetings on Zoom? Because he doesn't
I'm not
Zoom
interested in
them.
these investment meetings.
I think he does too.
But
I doubt if he gets.
Investment
really people to
meetings
watch.
Are Zoom. I didn't think they were, because I asked yesterday.
But if I were interested in it, I would.
Yeah, and I know just now the Budget Commission finally started Zooming, but up until this point, no one was Zooming.
What you saying on the
Are you
county?
talking about in person or Zooming? Because,
Zoom, did I say in person? I said Zoom.
well,
No one's,
because they were Zooming when I was on the Brad Cromus thing. We were
Okay.
Zooming. We were doing it at home.
I mean, you were, but was it open to the public to sit in on your meeting is my question.
Yeah.
Oh, it was? Because I asked yesterday and they said
And the
no.
land bank is also open because.
Oh, yeah. Well, that makes more sense than what people, that it is open to the public, but anyways, I just wanted to clarify that for you. It had nothing to do, and actually I had mentioned both to Vicky and Tony, even before the mask issue came up, that we might want to consider just going back, because we were having issues with people on Zoom because we don't have the proper system. And like I said, we're just discontinuing it. I mean, I'm willing to look into a system where we can go back to maybe streaming, but I know we had that before. And it's not here because we paid a lot of money for a system that didn't work.
I can understand the
Yeah.
money issues. I can
Mhm.
understand that because I'm always against overspending. But,
Yeah.
since we can't go in person, I really think that, somewhere between 4 and 157 people were watching it. And
But,
those people are not
Yeah.
going to be able to watch it.
but again, they weren't watching it necessarily, they're looking at the clicking was not during our actual meeting. They would review it like after work
It's
or,
still the same because
well,
most people can't get in. this
you'll be
time.
able to do that though with the audio, is what I'm telling you. You're still gonna be able to hear everything that we do or say if we download the audio of today's meeting. And the bonus to it compared to what we did prior to the pandemic is you're not gonna have to pay to get it on a disc. Before, Amy didn't download it to the county website. You had to pay $1, and I'm sure Mr. Ames can verify it because he used to pay $1 every week to get a copy of it. We now are gonna have it where you can click on it and you can listen to the audio as if you were here.
Well, I stand by my comment and my opinion. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Barb. Glad you come. Okay, next, we have Mr. Ames. Hi, Brian. You
Hello,
got 5 minutes, my friend.
first thing I want to mention is I appreciate your adherence to the process as far as the revolving loan fund. You know, it's very important that for the appearance of fairness, which benefits not just a few people here, but the ones that actually want, like King Kennedy Center, they're gonna benefit from the fact that they were treated the same as everybody else, because there's not going to be a cause of division. To go against that process that you've established, and eliminate this foot race that was there before, that, would be disastrous. It would be a step backwards. So I thank you very much for having the courage to hold everybody to the same standard as far as that revolving loan fund goes.
But we don't hold everybody, Mr. Ames, to the same standard as far as process goes.
Yeah.
We don't hold everybody to the same standard as far as process goes.
I don't know what process you're talking about, Vicki,
Well, it's salary is one process.
but we're talking about a process.
Well, we're talking about processes, period.
No, I'm
Regarding
talking
outside
about
funds,
the revolving loan process.
external versus
So
internal.
we should follow that process, the other processes we have.
I'm not there. That's a discussion for some other.
That's internal. Okay, go ahead, Brian. Sorry for the interruption.
The other thing is I see all this sensational reporting in several different newspapers here, most notably the Portager, and I look at it and I say, there's nothing there. All they're doing is trying to cause hate and discontent, When I look at Sabrina here, I don't see her as a big threat. I have a hard time imagining her jumping up on her desk, holding a grenade and yanking a pin out with her teeth and lobbing at me. I'm not afraid at all to come in here, I faced, greater threats in Vietnam. I didn't cringe then. These people are all just looking for something to gripe about. My father used to say that there are people in the world that would complain if they were hanged with a new rope. They would have something to say about it. And I think this is where their goal is to complain. If they didn't have anything to complain about, they would complain about that, So, we didn't elect the Portager. Nobody cast a single vote for the Portager. We elected you, and we're very happy. At least I am very happy with what's happening now. So, I think, and I would hate to see, credibility given to something like a Portager that doesn't have the interest of the county at heart. They have an interest of their particular constituency at heart. And that's all they do. They don't talk to people from the other side. There's nothing balanced there. They have their agenda and that's all they're doing. And, I don't know about you, But whenever I find that people are not going to be fair when they talk to me, I don't talk to them, you know. They can go to, as far as masks go, you know, or the thing, as I mentioned, I had to spend $10,000 to fix the problem that Rena had with her mouth as a result of wearing masks. And she has quit her job. She gave it up because if she wears a mask, she's gonna have a recurrence of the problem, you know. When we had people working in paint booths, we had experts that said what kind of mask they could wear, and their rule was that they could only work in there for 20 minutes, and they had to have a break, you know, because God didn't create us to wear masks. You know, that's not the way we breathe, you know. There is an effect, side effects, a lot of side effects to it. And I've become aware more and more of more people suffering from those side effects that nobody wants to talk about because it doesn't fit the agenda. You know, the agenda is to get everybody to wear masks, you know, and then next it's going to be to hop on one leg because nobody got coronavirus when they were hopping on one leg. You know, it's absurd. It's just absurd, you know. We have to stick to our convictions and do what we were elected to do, regardless of what the naysayers or the say. So that's it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Brett.
Okay, is there anyone else, Amy? Is there anything else to come before the board? Are we gonna meet on Tuesday next week? I know Todd didn't say if he had topics of discussion, did he? Can you call him in here for a second? Yeah, we mentioned it, but again, I want to have substance. I don't want to just meet. Go with some substance.
He's finishing up a phone call. He'll be right back.
There's no one else in the public that wants to comment?
There are some comments in your share file, but you've all looked at them, right? Okay.
I think those are the ones we got anyways.
Okay.
Hey Todd, we're talking about Tuesday.
Oh.
Which would be March 2nd. I mean, maybe if Todd, do you have anything? Because like I said,
well, I guess, I mean.
I did ask Ryan today to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where it's a little frustrating. There is plenty the board can talk about, but just talking doesn't really serve us. So the question becomes, of all these issues that are being listed out and that are waiting on the board's decision, what is it that you need to make that decision? If it's just time, then we'll sit and wait on time. If there's information, somebody needs to know what it is you need so we can begin collecting it. If you need to discuss what that is, then maybe that's something we do this Tuesday and we pick a couple of these projects. You know, again, as you mentioned to Ryan, we talked about Station 30. We said that we need to talk to him, but he hasn't come in. On the other hand, are you guys ready to act on that building? We've got a lot of other potential possibilities. So I guess it's up to the board in terms of what you are ready to act on or not act on.
Yeah. Well, I know when we talked to Ryan today, he is working on getting rid of some of the stuff, because you know, it's not just the county that utilizes that. And he's going to be.
And that's where he's going to need some commissioner support for some of those items. Or he's going to need commissioner direction that says don't.
I thought many of the things we were talking about, we had to get estimates on what they were gonna cost. As soon as that was ready, we can make a decision to do those. Other than that, I'd like to make a decision on about 5 of those right off the bat,
Mhm.
but we need How much
more
are they gonna cost?
information.
So what are we talking about there? What,
You're talking about the parking lot. You're talking about,
oh, see, to me, those are already gone and doing.
those are done. Which ones are you speaking?
We're talking about like the airport.
So the airport's a huge issue.
And that
in terms
is.
of doing or not doing.
And I guess,
The
just to clarify,
sheriff's-
Todd,
Go ahead.
I want to talk about the airport. The airport, I would like to have you and Joanne on that task to start collecting the information. I know Joanne asked about getting an appraisal for the FBO and the hangars. And I would like for you and Joanne to start working and maybe contacting some of the folks out there, including the staff that actually works for the airport, and getting the information that you feel that you would need to bring the recommendations to us, versus having me meet with 15 people, Vicky, Tony. I think it would be best if we charged you and Joanne. I don't know what that is.
Somebody.
Yeah, trying to collect it up
Or
here.
something, I don't know.
I
what's
would like to
happening.
charge you and Joanne. Now, I know Joanne's not here, but I did talk briefly to her yesterday, that I think that that would be a better way of handling the airport. Now, that's a big chunk. So that being said, what else on that list is there stuff that you could assign to us?
You know, just about the airport for a second, I know John True talked to you
Yes.
about leverage was the first
Yes.
step.
Mhm.
So I think that needs
Yeah.
to be looked into. Now, he said, don't just jump in and take it over.
Right. I agree.
Exactly.
That's what I agree that.
What is that? I don't understand.
No, John True was talking about what we should do prior to saying we're gonna buy it. He was the president of it about 10 years ago for
Yes,
7 years. So
Mhm.
what I believe what Vicky's saying is that I'm still talking to people. You know, I appreciate that Sabrina's saying you guys, I still try to get my head around it, and I've looked at plats and I've looked at deeds and just try to get the information.
So
That's there,
here's
there's a
where your
time.
staff is. We have no problem with that.
Yep.
But then, so,
What do you want,
so
right?
we're hearing, wait then, don't do anything.
We need information.
I don't know what to do.
Information. I mean, when we talk about the airport, I've driven by the airport. I've talked to 4 people so far and spent about 10 hours so far looking at it. It is, to make a decision about that airport is there's so much more things that I need answered
Mhm.
to be able to answer that. So if Sabrina's saying, hey, Todd and Joanne, start looking at, to give us
Get
information,
the task.
I will continue to do my information about it, but I'm nowhere close to saying, hey, let's finish this deal. There are so many things to look at and to think about and to find out what we need.
And I hear that. I guess it's a very confusing directive to
Yep.
say gather the information, but we're not quite sure what we need, but we'll keep looking ourselves. I just put it honestly where we're
Yeah,
at.
absolutely. She gave you about 4 or 5 things that,
Yeah,
what's the
FBO.
FBO? What's the value of that?
We have-
You
we
know,
have bank estimates
these hangars
that
that,
you have,
you know, and you and I spoke about the hangars, first somebody said, hey, give the land to people, and then you said, and I totally agree with you, we're in the same position, not leasing hangars ourselves. I'm looking at the land, where do we have land to put hangars that we actually own? So that, I mean, so she gave you 4 or 5 things to look at,
So what are they? Go ahead.
The-
I want to be.
the
I wanna-
FBO. find out
I
what,
don't know what we're doing.
yeah, what,
And we can talk about this Tuesday if you want to end the day, or we can talk about this now. and we'll
So I think
start
this would be a good work session Tuesday, to lay out exactly what we need to make these decisions, to get these things done. And
And we can assign tasks, but like I said, it was my understanding that staff thought it might be better for them to try to collect the information versus us talking to people that have special interests necessarily in it. Their conversations with you would be different than conversations with me.
It is, and
or
that's
Vicky.
where we're at the disadvantage of, we're trying to give the best recommendation for the county, but that's not necessarily the best recommendation for this entity or that entity. And then the second we speak, you guys are getting calls, well, they don't know what they're talking about, you need to do this, you need to do that. And so why am I spending my, I mean, I don't, but why am I spending my time if nothing's gonna get listened to from what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm happy to gather anything. We have a ton of information.
I'd like
We
to see
have-
it.
We have the bank on the FBO, we've sent an appraisal out, we just talked to Joanne yesterday. We have finances, we have a lot of information.
So maybe that's what you need to start bringing to us for us to discuss,
Well,
so that we are all on the same page and
So you're what you
understand.
want copied and brought each meeting, because the commissioners have it. Everything I have, commissioners have a copy of, except for Tony.
So this been going, from my understanding, about 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Probably, Vic, you guys have been around a lot longer than I have in the county.
Yeah.
So it is, and we're spinning wheels, and people have told me the commissioners are ready to sign it, and then poof, they're gone. And
there's
that
all
is
kinds
very
of stories,
frustrating.
But, you know, we know how it
And that's
goes.
some of it, we gotta move away from the past and just say, what are we doing? today?
Exactly. We should move away from all of the past
Exactly.
and do what we
Just
need to
move
do.
forward.
But people have trouble doing it, which is where the criticism.
I'm a newbie, so I don't.
But then there's the thing, the rumor starts, or someone says something, then it keeps getting repeated, then all of a sudden it becomes gospel when there may not be any validity. So that's why,
So I'm hearing for March 2nd, maybe we talk about what you need.
Yep.
I will begin, Gene has a whole shared file. I'll find out, I mean, he has the 10-year-old, what do you call it?
oh, the plan, the airport studies for the state of
Airport study.
Ohio.
We've got a plan from 5 years ago from the economic development crew showing us the impact. I mean, we've got more information than can possibly be digested. And so again, the question is, what specifically then do you guys want in front of you to start? And then from there, that may trigger more information, but I can flood you with
Flood me, please.
500 documents. I mean, it's.
Okay, so
we've
let's
got a lot of
make
it.
this very simple, Todd.
Mhm.
For Tuesday, let's talk about some of the things, the information that we do have. We can talk about the 10-year study. Now, I can tell you, sum up the 10-year study for their view on Portage County, it would be very underutilized for its potential.
Is that the economic study?
Yes, but it was done on all the airports, because we got that from Senator Eckland's office, we get it from the state. And then we had a proposal to purchase the FBO from before. We also were able to get an appraisal on that, but that appraisal was from 2016.
It's
So
a
it
base
gave us,
evaluation,
it gave
yeah.
us a base,
Right.
but then that's what I sent to Joanne and said, hey, we need to get our own appraisal,
And that's not ready yet.
and that's not ready yet, okay? And then what other information do you have that you think would
We
be?
have their annual financial reports that they brought to you each
Okay.
year. If you want to see those, we have Dick
Last
Bonner.
3 years, please.
Dick Bonner sent his, I guess you call it a prospectus of what
Yeah.
his costs and operations are. I mean, we've got the parcels of what is actually in the airport board's name versus what's in the county's name. Again, it shouldn't be viewed as two separate things. It's all.
It's all one.
Let-
The whole area on Infirmary Road is yours except for the golf course, which is to the south side, and then on the north east portion, then starts getting some private ownership. But otherwise, from the nursing home all the way up to the Justice Center is county land in there.
Is there a plat that we could all just put on a table and look at?
I've got a map with the parcels broken
Okay,
out,
yeah.
if you'd like to see.
Yeah, that would be great to see Tuesday. What other project besides the airport?
So while the sheriff and what you're doing both with his operations, his pay structure and his cars is another deal. If we did everything that's been hinted at, we're talking over $1 million. That needs sorted out here because a lot of that, the talk has been of doing it this year, which is a very big deal. So that needs sorted out. You have Riddle and the communications on it. Riddle Station 30, the motor pool, and the nursing home, the record center, should all be discussed as a package of which of those buildings, if any, do you want to keep. And again, as Joanne indicated, money needs to go into them if we're going to keep them for the current uses that we're doing. Or is there a possibility to move away from them? That discussion always flounders at this point, and has for the last 2 years, particularly in terms of the record center. So we're trying to make some headway on that, but it's, again, there's just support that the commissioners need to say, yes, we want to keep pursuing this, we want to keep pursuing this.
And I think we've already given you directions on the Pretty Glen Dam or the Hills Pond
Yep.
Dam.
And that has its own money, so that's an easy
That's-
one.
Okay, so that one's done. We
Right.
got, we know the parking lot's gonna get done because Joanne's working on that.
Yeah, those projects that we talked about from 2 weeks ago, those are proceeding, those aren't our question.
Who wants to buy the Riddle building? Is that what I read?
Oh, we
That I
can't do that.
Okay.
Is there's, you,
There's some-
so the key to the county is we have an opportunity
Okay.
to possibly purchase a building, at which point we could move our staff out of Riddle. At that point, the county would have the option of putting it up for sale.
Okay.
And we would progress with that procedure.
Do we have a potential buyer for that, you think?
Oddly enough,
Did I
we do,
That's what I thought.
although
It's like
again,
a trading places.
well, and you have to understand, you aren't going to get a lot, and if you want cash, you're going to have to wait years. I'll make that clear to you.
So I'd like to, because I don't know, what year we purchased the Riddle building, how much we purchased it for?
2010-ish, we purchased it for almost 3 million, although to be honest, how much of that was purchase and how much of that was some remodeling that went in with it as well, but the debt itself was, I think, just a little over 2,600,000
Just tell her that she has to see.
on that building, which was, at the time, I'll be honest, at the time, we knew we paid more than it was worth. That wasn't, the purpose wasn't to get value, the purpose was to aid the city of Ravenna in a dilemma.
Okay.
Okay, so what do you wanna talk about on Tuesday?
So, well, the airport would be huge, and then I know the sheriff has his meeting tonight, and that's another conversation that needs to happen. And soon if we're spending the money, if we're not spending the money, then we don't ever need to talk about it again.
Tony, you're going, and Vicky, you're going?
But we have to be very careful about that. We've already been advised, we're not commissioners there.
Yeah.
How's that possible? I see not sitting with together, but if I walk around in public without a mask, everybody wants to say Tony's a commissioner. How do I go to a meeting to
Well, that's
listen?
why really you should have just had one of you go, which I agreed to have you go and come back because you're gonna have to report. But then Vicky said she wanted to go and
I
that's
was
what,
asked to.
Yeah.
well, I understand that we all three were asked to go. But it's gonna,
Remembering that we're going, who we
yes.
represent, and
The key is what you say, I
Right.
believe, based
Right.
on
Yes.
Chris's opinion, and you, one thing you do need to watch is trying to debate with each other via asking a third party.
No.
Or
Yeah,
being put
basically,
on
the
the
best
spot.
advice is not to say.
I was gonna
anything.
wear my mask with
Yeah.
something in my mouth, so I couldn't.
I mean, that becomes the key, is if there's any perceived public deliberation.
Yeah. Yep.
Mhm. And that's why I think Chris recommended that he's against two going. But
You come around those places you're going, and you just give us advice.
Yep.
As to how to handle it.
So if, I'll start emailing you some of this information on the airport, if you think of other things you want, we'll see if we have it. I will try and get you all, I think you already have access to the share drive, that was the whole point of putting in the share drive, you just may not realize you have it. I know Gene began copying and storing things there,
Mhm.
as, you know, he began getting involved in the conversation. But the airport, your access facilities and the sheriff are probably the three biggest issues right now.
I'll get Claire to show me how to get the share drive.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
all
Thanks,
right,
Todd.
so we'll put it down. How long do you think you'll need on Tuesday? From 9 to what? Because we'll have to
Well, if
advertise.
all we're doing is having you tell us what more you need, that will only take half an hour to an hour. If you actually want to discuss some of the material, you know, to there, that could take a little bit longer depending on how much of an explanation.
Well, I
you want
thought it
from
was
us.
gonna be to discuss it, because we just gave you what we would be looking at to need. So why would we need to meet just to go over it again? Unless you're gonna bring something that would help start moving us in the right direction.
This is the commissioner's decision.
Mhm.
I don't even need to be in the room. I am happy to provide you what material we have. to the extent that you would like other material, I am happy to get it for you if I know what it is you're looking for.
But Todd, I'm just saying, I thought that's what we just went over. You went
Well,
over
you've
the
given
things
me a
that
list of
we
a few
have.
things. I guess the key, you made it sound like you may want other things as well. You just don't know them right now.
We
That
just
was
don't
my
know what
impression.
else we want. That's why I'm really thinking, once we decipher what we have, maybe that's a good time to bring the consultant in. None of us run an airport. And do we know how? I mean, we can all look at numbers, tell that if they're making money, losing money, maybe, and get suggestions, but at the end of the day, we probably need someone that actually knows how to run an airport.
So then I don't think Tuesday you're gonna have anything
None of that.
to
Do
add to
we have
your.
anybody out there that would
process.
act as a consultant, so we don't?
I don't know if out there, but Joanne has a whole list of
Well, we
people.
had two separate offices.
Now, I'm with you, with Todd, with you with the consultants. I mean, some of you guys they have in the past spent a lot of money on consultants. I think a good discussion of what the three of us want to do and where that airport's going. And we could do a whiteboard. What do we see that airport becoming? What do we want it to becoming and our phases to get there? That has to be an open discussion amongst us.
Well,
versus
I
just digesting
understand
it.
that, but again, no one in this room is an airport expert.
No.
But you
And
have to
I-
give them a dream before the expert can tell us what the heck
Well,
we gotta do.
exactly, but that's when we will need a consultant at some point in time, because I don't feel comfortable. I mean,
So is that what you want staff spending time on then, is beginning to look for consultants?
no, we're not there yet,
Okay.
remember? We're gonna decipher what we
So-
have,
Look at
And
what we
then-
have.
and then figure out what we feel we need more information on, or what we need. I mean, I don't wanna, I mean, we're wasting how many minutes now just going over beating the same dead horse. The point is, I think we need to go over the information we have,
Mhm.
and then decide then what direction we wanna go, or if we feel we don't have enough information, or we don't feel comfortable, then maybe that's where we get the consultant involved.
So that should take us half an hour.
Okay, a half hour. Okay, so Tuesday, 9 to 9:30. We're gonna keep the ball rolling, Todd. Per your request and per our request.
This is your.
So-
I'm healthy right now. I'm happy to do whatever you want.
We're gonna bring in county administrators. We have that set up, right?
Well, that's
No,
not,
no,
not until next week.
yeah, and we're doing that. There are 3 other counties or 4 other counties that have county airports. They have managers that are running those airports. Well, why aren't we speaking to them and asking them, hey, whether it's Zoom or would you come and talk with us? How you went from whatever it is to a county airport. We've got people that are gonna give us information before we gotta go
Lake
hire.
County is very,
Yeah.
in fact, we went out to Lake
Yeah,
County.
yeah.
They're very,
And one Lake too is
helpful in terms of offering.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Lake,
because they
Lake County's a
are,
little bit weird. They don't even know how they did it.
Okay, well, that's good,
But I can tell you
that's
where it's
good.
at right now.
but the thing, I think, what you're missing though, Todd, we were told how successful Wayne County Airport was.
Mhm.
Then we went there and we're told they were losing money and the commissioners were supplementing them. It was just the opposite
But
of
there's
what we
a-
heard.
There's a reality to the commissioners supplementing public facilities. I mean, you supplement this facility right here. That's what you need to come to terms with, and that's why I say there's an operating budget side, and for
Right.
sure, in the short term, it isn't going to be on the positive end where we collect more than we spend.
Okay, well, let's talk about this Tuesday then. And we had already suggested that we find like 3 or 4 airports that are actually ran by commissioners, by the county.
There's a lot.
Because
in
there's a
the
lot of
city.
hybrids
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, is there anything else? So Todd, you're set for 9 to 9:30
Mhm.
on Tuesday. And then Amy, you will get that posted,
Mhm.
the meeting. Okay, is there anything else that needs to be discussed before the board today?
Concerning this meeting with the chair, I just want to let you know that if there are 2 commissioners there and it's not conducted at an open meeting, I will be filing a lawsuit.
Okay,
I've been waiting for just this kind of thing. Take it up and get case law. So if you want to go there, Vicky, go on ahead, but you will be
So
sued.
you're not speaking to Tony that way,
Huh?
you're speaking to me.
Well, he's the person that was designated to go, is my understanding.
Oh, so is that the way it works? You designate who goes?
I didn't designate. I said I would be fine if Tony wanted to go and report back, but then you said you wanted to go,
Well, then-
so I said that was
Then you
fine.
two figure it out, who's going and who's not,
Brian, if
but
we're
if
not
it's both.
talking to each other, you know what I'm saying? If we're not talking to each other.
Are you a lawyer?
citizens.
Are you a
No, I'm
lawyer?
not. Can commissioners go to lunch together?
Are you a lawyer?
Can't-
Are you
no,
a
I'm not.
lawyer?
No.
I'm telling you, I am looking for exactly this case as a test case to establish something. Are you familiar with the rule on round robin meetings?
No clue.
No clue. You cannot have round robin meetings where one commissioner talks about the same topic with the other. Now, you say that you aren't going to talk to each other there, but you will be able to hear each other, and you will be able to observe each other's expressions and hear each other's questions and the answers. So you will
I
be
don't plan on
communicating.
talking at all.
Huh?
I don't plan on talking
Are
at
you
all.
planning on hearing?
I'm
Are you
planning on
planning?
listening to the sheriff, not to Tony.
Are you going to have some method that you're not going to be able to hear him or see his face? This is, I'm just giving you a warning.
Brian's right, he's gonna have a treat this for a lawsuit big time. And both you guys are committing political suicide going to this guy's meeting. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Your career's gonna be on the line. And I tell you, that sheriff probably only gonna serve one term.
Yeah.
And you may only serve one term if you go to this thing tonight.
Well,
Thank you both for your
okay,
opinion.
thank you for your comments. Is there anything else? Okay. You wanna make a motion?
I make motion to adjourn Commissioners meeting.
Okay, I'll second. Roll call, Ian?
Tony,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Vicky,
Absolutely.
Talking about people who like to find any reason to complain. Right.
Yeah, you, that's you. Keep it to yourself.
I said it, I said, you know, I'm not available to go.
Mhm.
I said, but you kind of were throwing for it, because there is the concern of that. That's all I said.
I'm gonna give her a little advice.
I'm gonna start.
I did